Hello, everyone. This is Karen with Mana Delight and Twin Souls Network. And it's been a long time. It has been a very long time. And so I have a quick update just on what I've been going through, because that's what I like to do, is talk to you from my own experience on what I'm going through, because it's all that I can base anything off of. I don't listen to other people's things and then base my life or my journey on what they're saying. Not anymore. That may be something that was done in the early stages when I didn't know what the hell was happening. But at this point, we all have evolved to the point where I would hope that we were thinking for ourselves and not depending on energy updates from other people or readings or things like that. And that's something that I'll tie into this whatsoever. So I always speak from direct experience. And what I've been away. One, because I was guided to pull away from the Twin Flame Collective. I was gung-ho. As you know, my last video, I was ready to start doing Twin Flame interviews, and I was all gung-ho about that and really wanting to get started on that. And there was no energy there. There was things that were happening. It wasn't time for it. It wasn't time for it because we're still dealing with the false ascension, and I'm not saying that we're still dealing with the dark, because I really feel like that is over and that they were defeated and that's done and over with. But it's what we're dealing with in the Twin Flame Collective is the belief, and it's what everybody's messages out there regarding twin flames. And like I said, in the very beginning, when you're first coming out, you are looking at everything because you don't know what's happening with you. And you want just to know that there's somebody like you, that this is happening to other people as well, and that you can relate. And so you're all involved in the twin flame community. But there are false teachers out there, and there are people that do not know the true twin flame journey whatsoever. And they're just not true twin flames. I've said it 100 times, and I'll continue to say it. And they've kind of spun their story on what the twin flame journey is about. And so there's this collective belief out there, and that's the energy that I needed to disconnect from. And it is false ascension. It is not the truth of the journey. And I love when I have moments of clarity where it was like, and they're happening more frequently because everything is happening so fast, that I just am having moments of clarity, boom, boom, boom. And okay, yeah. And I've been told to trust what I see, because I am a seer, and it is truth, and I have the truth and resonance and knowing within me of what the true twin flame journey is, and to trust what I'm seeing, and seeing within other people and using discernment and things like that. And so I was guided completely to disconnect. And I had to disconnect because my energy was being drained. So I've been going through a health crisis. And what was happening with my body was hellish. It was horrible. I had issues, and they weren't just one specific system within my body. Every system in my body was going through something. And I was so weak, and I was so tired, and I was being drained. And of course, when you're going through these things, you know, you're like tuned in to whatever you can get tuned into, like healing frequencies. I'm calling on every guide I ever knew I had or family member that crossed over, like, help me figure this out, please. Like, when you don't feel good, you will do anything. Like I was considering a sweat lodge and, traveling somewhere, or it just was like, I don't know what's happening with my body. And so the first thing was disconnect from the Twin Flame community. And I will explain further what's going on there with that in just a little bit. I just want to update everybody. And then protect my energy, because what was happening was, regardless how many times you say, oh, cut this cord or protect my energy or whatever, there are still people and situations and people that you may have said you were going to help or contracted to help or whatever that are drawing from your energy. So I was definitely being siphoned, and it had a lot to do with the Twin Flame community, just because I always, and this is something that I did to myself, and I was shown that I did this to myself, because in my earnest, true, pure nature of being compassionate and wanting to help others, when I would do a reading or something for someone, I always set the intention that I was helping them, that I had already connected and was helping them move forward. Well, in doing so, my energy was completely as low as it could possibly get. And then there was some few people there at the last that just totally wiped me out. And you have to realize that there's people that are connected, but they have people connected to their energy as well. And I was actually told I had 304. I had helped and set intention for 304 other souls that were connected to my energy. And I had to start systematically removing all of these energies that was dragging me down. And it was my intention that I did that. And that can be your downfall. You're being compassionate and helping others, excuse me, can be your downfall, because I thought I was strong enough and I thought that I could do all of that, and it just was not working. So I had to do that. Totally protecting my energy, totally cutting things off. My diet had to completely change. There were so many things that my body was going through, as far as I couldn't eat this and I was getting sick. And so what was happening was my body was being upgraded as well. But what was happening was they were getting me to let go of the 3D. And in doing so, like I said, when you were in a healing crisis, you're searching and you're looking for something. And so I was looking for the best foods I could possibly take in for mind, body, and soul, spiritual foods that were going to help me through this crisis. And in doing so, I found a lot of good research, but then I found a Dr. Lyle's videos and documentaries on the pleasure trap. And it was like ding, 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 clarity and bells and whistles. And what I was being shown was breaking the seduction of the 3D and the pleasure trap, and how easy it is for us to stay within that trap of pleasure, because we're designed that way, first of all. But what was happening is they were taking me through this where I am able to release those seductions. And instead of doing something for pleasure, I would do what needed to be done for my overall benefit, for my mind, body, and soul. And so that was like eye-opening. And so I had to completely change my diet. And it is not, I'm telling you, it's not easy. But the pleasure trap, and I'll just start with this real quick. The pleasure trap is about those senses within our human bodies. And we are in human bodies. And we said we would come here in our human bodies. But what it is the human body was designed to procreate, to feed, to eat, to have sex, to procreate. That was the human design that we came into this body to do, because that was the reason for gender, in order to procreate. Nothing about that is our true nature. Nothing about any of that is who we really are, is where we're headed, is 5D. So releasing all of those drives, and that's food, sex, and money. Those are the things that are within the pleasure trap. And knowing that the majority, if not all, of humans are stuck within this pleasure trap. And it's the rat race, and it puts you on this wheel. I have to have babies. I've got to make money. I've got to feed, and I've got to eat. And, he used the shark as an example about the shark has teeth and why the shark has teeth. And so he goes into all of that. But it made so much complete sense. And then I was being told about it has to be released. It has to be broke. Your seduction and your 3D humanness and the human design within you and all your drives, sex drive, food, money, all of those will need to be broken before union. We can't come into union and change this world and we're still being seduced by 3D pleasures. And it's just that simple. That's not why we came here. Sex is another thing. And if you're a true twin flame, I would think that you would be celibate for a very long time. 3D sex would begin to turn you off. You would begin to look at it as not pleasurable anymore, and because that's not your true nature. And I'm not saying, I do not believe that having sex, 3D sex with anyone, is conducive to ascension or union. And I don't believe anything in my knowing and in my resonance of my true self and my true nature does not believe that twins will have 3D sex. I don't think it could ever just be 3D sex anyway, but I don't believe that we will. And if you do and are having that, then you're in the pleasure trap, number one. And two, you are completely grounding all of the energies and all negative energies around that 3D sexual experience. Will there be passion? I believe that there will be passion, but it will be a completely different passion. It's going to be a totally different sexual experience. It's going to be sacred. And if you've been celibate for a while, then just certain things about 3D sex is going to start to turn you off. Like, you'll see something and be like, that's just not even appealing. Like, I was watching a movie and I was thinking, and the scene came up and it wasn't, And normally, in your human nature, you'd get turned on maybe by seeing something like that. But it just really was, it was disgusting to me. It just, there was something in the pit of my stomach. And so this is something that will happen for you because you are breaking your humanness. You are dying to your human vessel. We are transcending anything human. So this will happen for you. But I know numerous true twin flames who have been celibate for years, and I was as well. But that didn't mean that the sexual pleasure was broke. The seduction of that was broke. But going through this whole ordeal and this healing that I've went through, this is where my soul was leading me down this path, is to break my seduction to food and break my seduction to the 3D sex. But it was happening before that, because like I said, I would see something and be like, that was just gross, and yeah, it just wasn't good. So this is how you know that this is happening for you. This is the next phase. And in my last video, I talked about personal responsibility and closing the gap in the physical. And let me explain that a little further because there was some misunderstanding regarding it. This is what I'm talking about. Personal responsibility and closing the gap means that you're still walking your journey. And everybody bangs on and talks about the ego all the time and staying out of your mind and all of these things. And this is true. But above and beyond that really is breaking this seduction of being 3D and the human pleasures, because we won't have any of that. That's not what we're transcending to. So it has to be broken. And I believe the feminine leads in breaking this. And so when we're doing this and we're becoming more divine and more sacred, because I believe that celibacy is divine, and abstaining is divine. And the more and more that we do this, the masculine just will start to do that as well. And I don't like to do that anymore. This is another thing that I was told as far as talking about feminine and masculine energies. I mean, they very much are in the 3D separate energies. However, we're not separate. And so this is another thing that's out there in the Twin Flame Collective. You'll see still all of these readings. Divine Masculine reading. He tells the karmic to beat it, So they're still in separation consciousness because they're still talking about divine masculine, divine feminine energies. And then and then everybody gets all riled, and it's got 30,000 views on it because it said that the divine masculine tells the karmic to hit the road. And everybody's like, yeah, that bitch, get her. Walk away from her. Tell her to beat it. That's not divine. That's not sacred. That's human. That's that human competition. And that's not good. So there's all of that out there. And you see all these views on here because it's tuning in and it's tapping into that human nature, and it's feeding your 3D, and it's feeding that pleasure of, yeah, get her. So it's feeding that, and it's feeding the separation consciousness. And then there's those out there in the Twin Flame community that use 3D sex to lure everyone in as well. There's your ultimate lover. And so you're lured in because sex sells. Your sex sells, and this is your 3D pleasure of, oh yeah, okay, yes, I want my ultimate lover. I want to have great sex. I want to have great sex. And so they lure you in. And the ones that are talking about passion and lovers and your ultimate lover, they're part of the false ascension, because that's not the true twin flame journey. And if you're a true twin flame, this resonates with you deeply, because that's not what we're here about it. That's not what we're here to do. But the illusion and the delusion is that we're here to frolic and roll in the hay and eat whatever we want and have chocolate sauce dripping down our chin. And that's not it at all. Our true nature doesn't want anything to do with that. And when you get closer to your true nature, when you get reminded of who your true nature is, and you get further down the road, these things will become less and less appealing to you. And so I had to go through my thing for that to happen. But like I said, the sex thing was already happening. And like I said, many of you I know have been celibate for years, as I have. But the food thing was still a thing for me. It just was. We like to eat. So it had to be broken, and was my body. And everything I took that was not a high vibrational, I was sick. I was weak. And they're like, you can't eat like this anymore. This is not your path. Your path is to transcend all of this humanness. And so breaking that is the next phase of the journey for true twin flames, I believe. Breaking this seduction. And what I was told is when you have followed your pilgrimage and your spiritual journey, and you have done all of this, you've released the mind and the ego, which a lot of us have. You've done your healing, and you have broken the seduction of 3D. And you're at the pinnacle. This is when union comes in, and not before then. At the end of your journey, at the end of it, when you have reached all of these things and you've done all of this, this is where your union will be. And you both will have completed your journey at the end of it, because you're one and the same. So, and nobody's to blame here. This is nobody's fault. But there is a personal responsibility for you to acknowledge and take this information into your awareness, and to not be in resistance. It's happening. The further that you go, things like that happen to me, health crisis, or there'll be some other things that will happen to you that will push you towards this, because this is where we're headed. But I fully believe that union cannot happen with the 3D intact. And the best thing that you can do is not be in resistance to letting go of this. It's like, do you want this or do you want this? And when I'm out there and I notice these things, just because I am on YouTube, I still would rather watch a YouTube video than anything. And I do just listen to all different kinds. But because I have Twin Flame out there, then I will see some things in my news feed. And so in seeing all of this, it's clear as a bell. You know, it's like this clarity. It's like, okay, it's not the true Twin Flame journey, because it's feeding into a 3D pleasure. When they start talking about lovers, when they start talking about the karmic, when they start talking about divine masculine, divine feminine energies, they're still feeding into that separation consciousness. So there are forerunners, there are leaders out here that are going to be pulling away. I am one of them. and I was guided to pull away from the twin flame community. I don't know when I will resume the twin flame interviews. It's just one of those things where there really wasn't any energy in it. You've noticed that I haven't been doing readings because the readings were keeping us stuck and the cards were tuning into the twin flame collective belief. And so the cards were coming up what everyone wanted to hear. And I cannot tell you, and I know the same is for you, how many readings have you heard where union's here? Union's happening. The Divine Masculine communicates. He shows up on your front door. And it's not happening. It's because there's that belief out there that this really is what's going to happen. And the truth of the matter is that there's a personal responsibility for you to finish your pilgrimage, to finish your spiritual journey, to reach your pinnacle. And if you're still in separation consciousness where you think you've done everything that you possibly could do, and you've healed and you've ascended and you have reached the height, and you don't have anything else to do and you're just waiting on your masculine to get their shit together, you're still in separation consciousness. The truth of the journey is that you follow your journey. It begins and ends with you and your spiritual journey to ascension. And that's when your union picks up. We are so much bigger and so much more than our twin flame journey. And so another thing that was shown to me was my true nature as pure light, my divine essence, as an original creator being, as a healer, as a high priestess in Lemuria. My divine essence, my healing mission here. I was able to see my healing mission and me floating and healing, and how much bigger it is than the twin flame journey. The mission, the healing mission. Our lives and who we are and our true nature. And see, what happens on this journey is you get pushed to your true nature. You keep getting pushed to remember more and more of who you are and who your true nature is. And what your true nature is and what you came here to do. This is what the journey is about. And the more that you learn this, it pushes you closer to your truth and your true nature and completing your journey. But we're so much bigger than our twin flame journey. But see, there's that collective belief that that's all you came here to do. And the further that I have been pushed down this journey, that's not what I believe anymore. Is it a big part of it? It absolutely is. And will union be there? Yes, it will be. But that's not all of it. It's so much bigger. You have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of everything that you came here to do. And there's this belief out there that it's just to get together and have sex with your twin. And I no longer believe that to be true. And I had to pull away from the collective to figure that out. And this will trigger some people, and some people will say, oh, wow. And some people will be like, I completely resonate with that. Wow. Thank you for opening my eyes. Because it's truth. And it will resonate with you in your knowing. And I truly believe that this is the reason that we've been held back, is because of the collective belief out there about union, about our energies, about our mission, about why we came here. And it's the opposite of what our true nature is and what we signed up to do. When you're shown who you are and how big you are and what you will be doing, and how your twin flame is just a part of that, is just an accent to what you're going to be doing, then your focus will begin to change and you'll be able to hone in on your truth. And like I said, I know that this will trigger some people because people really don't want to let go of those things. Like I said, sex sells. And, if you're going to be telling people that they're going to be having great sex and they can find that ultimate person, their ultimate lover that they can have sex with and have passion with, that's feeding into the human nature. It's not transcending our humanness, which is what true twin flames came here to do. And that's huge. And at the end of that, I believe, is union. Are you saying, Karen, that I'm never going to share a good meal with my twin? No, I'm not saying that. It's what do you define as a good meal? What does your light body and your 5D nature define as a good meal? I can guarantee you it's not something processed. And it's not something that's going to be harmful to your physical body. It's going to be something that feeds your mind, body, and soul. Are you saying I'm not going to have passionate sex with my twin, Karen? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what is your idea of good sex? What is your idea of sacred sex? If you're thinking totally 3D and slapping bodies together and whatever it is that you define as that, does that feed your mind, body, and soul, or does that feed your human nature? And when this knowledge and this awareness comes into you, you will be able to discern even better those videos and those teachers that you should be listening to, because there are some of them that are clearly feeding the human 3D aspect, and they're holding on to the delusion. And the truth is that it's all higher dimensional. Please excuse my voice. Please excuse my voice. I'm still dealing with a few things, but I didn't want to go down a list of everything, but just know that every system within my body was challenged, and it really was a healing crisis. And I want to thank everyone that that reached out, that checked in on me. I couldn't do this without your love and support and your donations and everything. And the memory foam neck pillow, thank you so much. That was a blessing. It still is. So thank you all for that. And I just really wanted to put a video out. It's December 1st. And I wanted to put out the phase that I've been going through, and what I feel the next phase for us as true twin flames are. If you're not a true twin flame, you're not going to resonate to this, and you're most likely going to run back to the readings that will tickle you, and because you're most likely not on a twin flame journey. And I mince no words regarding that, and I haven't. My discourse has always been about the truth of the journey and about empowerment and about you being empowered and you being authentic. That's always been my discourse, and it always will be. So, but this is what I feel is the next phase. And it's not a popular message, I realize. And it's not the message for the majority. And I realize that as well. But that's why the title says True Twin Flames, because if you are, then you'll resonate completely to this. And I hope that you will be able to now see more clearly and discern those out there that are feeding the delusion of the twin flame journey and those that are transcending past that to the truth. And I hope this empowers you to just by creating awareness and just by this video being out there, you can set the intention that you do break the seduction, and just being aware of it, you're going to start to steer clear of it, and you'll start to notice it, and you'll see it, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, that's not the truth. That's not the truth. That's still part of the human nature that I want no part of. I'm trying to ascend and transcend. And it will happen for you. And that's why I said the best thing for you to do is to not be in resistance to it. But that's the thing about it, is that I myself was even in resistance to it. And that's the problem. You don't want to hear it. It was just like everybody was talking about, well, you're not going to be able to eat meat. And then when meat started making me sick, I had no choice but to say, okay, is it the meat? And it was the meat. And I was in resistance because I didn't want anybody telling me what I could and couldn't do. I'm here to do what I want to do. And that's not the truth. The truth is you have a personal responsibility to your mind, body, and soul, and to your journey and your healing mission. And not to get caught up in the seductions of the 3D. And that's the truth. So, I love you all. Thank you all so much for being here. I don't know what will be next. But as I continue on my journey, I always give updates and let you all know what I feel is next for the journey and what my soul is guiding me to. And it's a pleasure being here, and I thank you all for being here. And I will be back at some point. I just don't know what lies ahead, other than me continuing on my own journey. Me, which is both of us together, and continuing on the journey. And the next phase is completely letting go of anything that's human. So thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful December. If I'm not back before the holidays, please have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Make it a December to remember. I love you all. Namaste.